Last night was nothing short of hell for Russia. Ukrainian forces struck deep, targeting ammunition depots, refineries, and dozens of locomotives, leaving chaos in their wake. They wanted war, but now they are feeling its full force. Tonight, we break down every strike, every explosion, and what it means for the Russian war machine. A massive explosion has struck a large Russian ammunition depot in occupied Donetsk, setting off towering plumes of fire and smoke visible for kilometers. Local sources report constant secondary detonations, confirming that this was a major storage site filled with artillery shells and rockets. The scale of the explosion suggests a deep and sustained chain reaction as stored munitions continue to cook off. Last night, the Ukrainian Defense Forces destroyed a Russian base used for storing and launching Shahed kamikaze drones. Robert Madyar Brovdi, the commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces, reported the strike. The Russian military facility was situated at the airport in the temporarily occupied city of Donetsk. At that site, the invaders stored, assembled, and launched Shahed drones targeting Ukrainian cities. The operation was a joint effort by Ukraine's Special Operations Forces, the Missile Forces and Artillery, and the intelligence unit of the 414th Separate Unmanned Systems Brigade, Madyar's Birds. The identification and targeting of this complex site turned into a months-long, meticulous intelligence operation assembled piece by piece. Last night, it was successfully executed using strike assets of the Special Operations Forces and the Missile Forces and Artillery of Ukraine's Defense Forces, the commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces reported. It should be noted that late on November 5th, reports emerged that Ukraine's defense forces had carried out strikes on Russian military targets in the temporarily occupied city of Donetsk. Soon after, videos capturing a powerful detonation began circulating online. In local chat groups, residents linked the explosion to the area of the former international airport and the village of Spartak. It was assumed that the targets of this attack could have been ammunition depots and Shahed-type kamikaze drones, which, according to analysts, were stored on the airport grounds. The establishment of infrastructure for operating Shahed and Gerbera drones in the area of Donetsk airport was reported as early as August. At that time, the construction of enclosed storage sites and manual control stations was recorded. The Russian invaders set up areas there for unloading combat units, dummy positions, observation posts, and also carried out work to prepare the runway. According to the Ukrainian military, more than 90% of the drones launched by the Special Operations Forces reached their target. The powerful explosion and subsequent detonation were captured on video by numerous eyewitnesses. The operation was a joint operation involving Special Operations Forces, Unmanned Systems Forces, and Missile and Artillery Forces. The analysts of the dossier of the spy group discovered that both cruise missiles and attack drones were used during the attack. As a result of the attack, the ammunition depot was completely destroyed. A fuel depot was destroyed. The UAV pre-launch training center was eliminated. Power supply and communication units were damaged. At the time of the strike, there were up to 1,000 Uranium-2 Shahed drones and more than 1,500 combat units on the airfield. This strike follows the recent destruction of another Russian depot near Makivka, part of Ukraine's intensified campaign to target Russia's ammunition stockpiles in occupied territory. These precise strikes are designed to cripple Russian logistics, limit their ability to sustain artillery fire, and weaken their offensive operations along the Pokrovsk and Avdiivka fronts. Each destroyed depot not only reduces Russia's firepower, but also forces its supply lines deeper into vulnerable areas. The continuing chain of detonations in Donetsk tonight is another clear sign that Ukraine's deep strike tactics are hitting their mark.
Damn, something just blew up. The windows got blown out.
And the Ukrainian Defense Forces attacked oil depots in temporarily occupied Crimea. Fires have been reported at the sites, reported the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Strikes on 3 facilities were carried out to reduce the logistical capabilities of the Russian invaders on the peninsula. It is reported that an oil depot in Vardiska and 2 fuel and lubricant depots in Simferopol were hit. At the oil depot in the settlement of Vardiski, A successful strike was recorded on a storage tank and fuel tanks at the loading and unloading rack. At the 2 fuel and lubricant depots in Simferopol, storage tank areas were hit. Fires in fuel tanks have been recorded, the General Staff reported. In the morning, the Krimsky Vetter monitoring channel reported that after 2 a.m., a fire broke out at the Krimneftisbit oil depot in the village of Bitumne, near Simferopol. Later, a video of the fire, allegedly from the same location, appeared online, filmed by a witness. The General Staff also confirmed strikes on the Lukoil Volgograd Nefteperera-Botka oil refinery in Volgograd, Russia, as well as the destruction of a storage and launch base for Russian Shahed kamikaze drones in temporarily occupied Donetsk. While Russian President Putin is making a fool of himself by invading Western journalists to enter alleged surrounded Pokrovsk, the special forces of the 3rd Regiment of the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces are clearing urban areas in Pokrovsk of Russian troops. Russian propaganda is now trying to spin the battle for Pokrovsk, claiming Ukrainian forces are trapped and failing. In reality, the situation is the opposite. Ukraine's top commanders, General Syrskyi, Major General Budanov, and even President Zelensky, have personally visited Pokrovsk or its nearby areas in the past days, coordinating operations and boosting troop morale. These visits show Ukrainian confidence and control on the ground, directly contradicting Russian claims of a trapped force. Russian media continues pushing the Ukrainians are trapped narrative, but these high-level visits prove otherwise. The presence of Syrskyi, Budanov, and Zelensky signals that Ukrainian forces are not only holding but actively advancing, undermining Moscow's propaganda completely. A 20-year-old Russian captured near Kupiansk said he quickly decided to surrender because he had promised his mother he would come back.
Without much thought, I should surrender. I don't want to die after all. I'm 20 years old. I also promised my mom and dad to return.
This is a complete mess. When grandmothers cry, it's a total disaster.
Grandpa and grandma, in short, went somewhere for water and their bird Cho-Cho-Cho killed them.
Don't go to war. This is all complete nonsense. What's happening here? They said they will soon be taking people from the camps. They're already taking those with hepatitis and HIV. The squad is called Umbrella.
Trump is joking about Chinese way of work. I want my cabinet to behave like Xi Jinping's staff. I'm demanding that. I've never seen men so scared in their lives. JD doesn't behave like that. JD butts into conversations.
I put a 100% tariff on China. As soon as I heard it, within 20 minutes, I put a 100% tariff on China. When President Xi, who's really a friend of mine, as much as he can be a friend, he's a tough man. He's a tough man. Smart man, actually. Very smart. The press doesn't like it when I call him very smart. You know, they think I'm not supposed to call him smart. But he leads 1.4 billion people, without question. In fact, during the meeting we were there, a couple of you were there and some of you saw it. So he's here and he's got about 6 people on each side, and every one of those people was standing like this. They were at attention. And I made a comment to one of them and I got no response. I said, "Are you going to answer me?" I got no response. And President Xi didn't let him have any. So if there's any question, I said, I want my cabinet to behave like that. That's the way. I'm demanding that I want them sitting up like that, Tim, just nice and straight. I never saw posture like that. I've never seen men so scared in their lives. They have the equivalent of a vice president. I said, "Are you going to answer my question?" And he's like, he doesn't move. I said, "What's wrong with this guy?" "I will answer all questions." Why don't you behave like that? JD doesn't behave like that. JD buds into conversations. I want to have that for at least a couple of days, okay, JD? We'll keep you long term, but a couple of days of that would be very, very nice.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.